Listen, this tag has been phenomenal for helping me learn how to count. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name's Aoife, and today we are taking the last 10 books tag. I was tagged in this by my friend Nat from Nerdy Nat Reads. I absolutely love Nat's channel. We have got quite similar opinions on some of the books that we have read, and I always love coming to her channel for a super cozy time, unless she's doing something super chaotic like can I read 10,000 pages within a week. I absolutely love everything Nat has put out, so you definitely need to go and check her out. But this tag sounded like a really fun idea. It kind of takes you a look back over 10 of the most recent books that you have read in some specific categories. I'm really excited to go and have a little dive back in. Straight in with question 1. What is the last book that you DNF'd? And that was Priest by Sierra Simone. I was really hopeful for this one because I absolutely love the show Fleabag, and I have a couple of friends who I know that have absolutely loved this book, but this really did nothing for me. I really wanted this to be a really great narrative that also had a kind of a spicy, forbidden romance in it, but all I got was a teenager who had just discovered his dick for the first time. It was so hormonally charged. It was so sexually charged. And there was absolutely no plot to speak of, which just doesn't do anything for me in a book. I do enjoy reading smut scenes. I do enjoy reading books that have smut in them. But there also needs to be some level of plot for me to get lost in as well. Question 2. What is the last book that you reread? In July, I reread Four Aunties and a Wedding by Jessie Cusatanto. It is the second book in the Dial A for Auntie series, and I had a pretty good time with it. I think it would pretty much be on a par as to how I had it the first time. Maybe I just had a little bit more of an enjoyment to it, but there were a couple of things that I didn't really enjoy. It follows Medi, who we had first met in Dial A for Aunties. She and Nathan are finally about to get married, and everything has turned to chaos when it turns out that all of the vendors that she has hired for the day turn out to be the Indonesian mafia. I absolutely loved the chaos of this book, but I really felt sorry for Nathan. He spends probably an accumulation of 30 seconds with his wife on his wedding day. And for your wedding day, I know you can get dragged in every direction, and there are so many relations that you need to meet, and there are so many things that you need to sort out, but I do think that they should have just spent a little bit more time together on a day like this. Question 3 is what is the last book that you bought? And it was so recent that I haven't even hauled it on this channel yet. Last weekend I went to a brand new city, and my tradition is that I will buy a magnet and I will buy a book so that I can remember my time there. And the book that I bought is kind of one that I didn't necessarily want to buy. I had said that I wanted to wait until the paperback of this came out so that it would join in with its friends in the series, but I just couldn't wait any longer. So now I have a copy of Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I am so back on that hype train. I've watched all of the Hunger Games movies recently. I have got it on my sides that I'm going to spend some of the time towards the end of this year catching up with the books again. I'm ready to get back into it. I have been so lucky to avoid so many spoilers. There's only one that I have seen, and I do know what the outcome of this book is going to be, but I just have a feeling it's going to rip my heart into shreds while I get there. Question 4. What is the most recent book that you said you have read, but you actually didn't? Now, I am pretty good for doing this. If I've said that I've read a book, it's usual that I have actually read it. If I've said that I haven't read a book or that I haven't heard about it, it's very common and very likely that I haven't actually done that. Except for one. There is one book that I have told people that I've read it, and I've told people that I had opinions on it, but I have barely made it past maybe the first 10 pages. And I know that that's bad, and I know that it's one that I really want to get to at some point, but I've never actually read through Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And I know so many people who love it, and I know it's one of the most beloved classics of all time, but I still haven't read it. Question 5. What's the last book that you wrote in the margins of? I'm also not very commonly known to do this. I like to keep my books relatively pristine and in good condition. I don't even like to bend down the spine of them. So writing in a book is just not something that I will traditionally do. Except for once. Back about 10 or so years ago, there was a group of 6 of us who got to know each other through blogging and through Twitter, and we had really built up a friendship with one another to the point where we would share books back and forth with one another and annotate them and give little notes in the paragraphs and in the margins and towards the ends and say what it was that we were thinking as we were reading this book and some of the theories that we would have had or some of the discussions that we wanted to have with one another. I haven't annotated a book since then, but that is the most recent one that I can offer you, even though it's about 10 years ago. Question 6, what's the last book that you had signed? I don't go to a lot of book conventions. There aren't a lot that happen in Germany. There aren't a lot that I'm able to fly back over and from the UK or Ireland for. So I don't really have, once again, a very up-to-date answer on this one. The answer that I have is, once again, about 10 or so years old. And it was either Landlines or Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. One evening in Dublin, there was an event happening where Rainbow Rowell and Leigh Bardugo came together, read some stuff from their new books, did a couple of signings, did pictures, all of that. And it was a really nice evening. Now, I had never heard of Leigh Bardugo until I went to that event with some friends of mine, but I had a couple of Rainbow Rowell books already in my shelves. So I said, why not bring them along? Why not get them signed up? So that is the most recent book signing that I have been to. Question 7, what is the last book that you lost? And for this one, I don't have one answer, I have hundreds, because I lost this. One evening while I was out in Berlin doing some Christmas shopping, I lost my Kindle. I put it down on a shelf while I was looking at some stuff that I wanted to gift to my mom or my brother. I was definitely in a technology shop. And I came back out later, put my hands into my pockets or in my bag and realized that my Kindle was missing. Panic level 5. I knew that I had it in the shop, so I knew that I had to go back there, look around the shelves, or find somebody who was working there and see if I could get it back. They did have it. They had it in their lost and found, and all that I needed to do was to make sure that it was mine by putting in the PIN number. So once I had done that and I had gotten it back into my possession, I felt my heart rate drop a little bit further. But that was my big wake-up call to really start taking a bit more care of where I'm putting things. Question 8, what is the last book that you had to replace? For Christmas last year, my dad gave me a bookshop voucher, so I went into my local bookshop and I picked up a couple of books, including With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson. I brought it back to Berlin, cracked the pages open, and that was where everything became apparent. A couple of pages had been completely blacked out to the point that there wasn't even text on it. It was just a window of black ink. There were some pages that were jagged and that were taken out and that were missing, and then the jagged bit was there, but all that was at the side of it was completely blank paper. I got back in touch with the shop, and after a little bit of back and forwarding, because it wasn't so easy to do the return when I was living in Germany, I managed to get a second copy. Question 9, what's the last book that you've had an argument over? I truly do not remember. I don't remember if it was just me lightly slagging some of my friends, it was me actually getting involved in a heated discussion on the internet. I don't honestly remember what my most recent bookish related argument was. So let's just say there hasn't been one in a while, thankfully. Question 10 is the last book you couldn't get hold of, and this was my white elephant. I could not find My Friends by Fredrik Backman for love nor money for the entire month of June. Now, I know that this came out at the beginning of June. My birthday's at the end of the month, so I knew I wanted to get this as part of my little birthday gift to myself. I could not find this in any of the bookshops that I went to Berlin. What it took was me crossing country borders and taking a weekend in the Netherlands to actually finally get my hands on this book. I still haven't read it because I know what Fredrik Backman does to me. I know what he is capable of. This may look like a fun summer romp in the pool. This book is probably laden with trauma and upset and bereavement and grief, and I just don't know if that's the mood that I'm in right now. Potentially towards the end of the year, I'm going to start picking this one up, but I will definitely need to be in the right headspace. Those are some of the last 10 books in specific circumstances that I either remember or have interacted with in some way. Of the last 10 books that you have read, which one do you think that you've enjoyed the most? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then why not just leave me any emoji that reminds you of the number 10. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.